Test. Can everybody hear me okay? Not too shabby. Maybe a bit louder. Is this better? Okay. My apologies beforehand for sitting down, but I want to be able to switch between code, browser, and slides easily. And since there's no standing desk option, I'll have to do like this. Today, I want to talk about organic groups and how we can use it to add context to our Drupal sites. So, me, I'm Stijn Meyere. I'm a Drupal developer for about 7 years now, working at NASCOM in Genk, not to mistake with Gent. So let's dive in. Organic groups. This is pulled from the project page. It enables users to create and manage their own groups, etc. I think when we think about organic groups, that most people think about some type of community site where we have users that can become a member of a group, share content with each other. That's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how we can use organic groups to do a bit more and extend our content management with some rich features. Just a short list of what I want to go through. So I'm going to introduce 3 cases. I'm going to go through the basics of organic groups. The API organic groups provides, what can we do with it, how can we use this, how can we integrate with other modules available and maybe extend with our own features. And I'll talk about all this stuff a little bit more in depth by demoing the cases and some code that was written for these cases. And I hope I can inspire everybody to try some things out with organic groups and think a bit beyond what comes to mind at first. So the 3 cases we have. First off is a corporate website with brand sites. So we have the Deme brand sites. I'm not sure how to say it in English, what the company does. They have very big ships. Deme itself is a big company and it has some small daughter companies, and what they wanted to achieve with their new website was to bring all these smaller companies under the same Deme brand. So the design had to be similar. It had to be all on one platform, one domain name with a slash brand name or whatever. The essence was it all had to reflect Deme. Of course, the smaller brand sites wanted to have their own small space within this site. So this is, for example, the homepage of the DEC company within the Deme group. At the top we still have the Deme banner with the logo, etc. This is all just within the same Deme site. We built a custom backend so that they could manage all their brand sites, etc. Some of the challenges with the Deme site was that we had shared content throughout the corporate site and the brand site. We needed to be able to delegate what content goes in which site. We have multiple content managers. Deme is a worldwide company. We have managers that need to translate content to Italian for some Italian company that is within the group. There's Russian, lots of different languages. We also needed content workflows so that all content can be approved and published separately from the people who are actually writing the content. And of course we needed some kind of way, some kind of interface to manage and create new brand sites. Our second case study is the Buddha book platform. This is a platform that brings together the publishers, the sales representatives and the actual bookstore owners. We have sales representatives that can log in to this platform, see a selection of books that are being published and sell them or buy them in the name of a bookstore owner, or maybe the bookstore would like to log in and etc. Lists can be managed of favorable bookstores. It's made based on topics, etc. Our challenges here are that we have 3 different kinds of groups within our site. We have the publishers, the sales reps, and the bookstores. All these groups are actually companies, and each company can have multiple users within this company. So we might have a sales rep group that exists of 2 salespeople who have to be able to log into their part of the site and manage their sales that they made for bookstores that they represent, etc. So we have multiple managers of content, and there needs to be some kind of cross between the content within the groups. And then there's the e-commerce aspect that needs to be integrated as well. And then finally we have a member management platform. This is an intranet built for the what's the name, the Jeugdbeweging, the Scouts group, whatever, the KSJ, KSA, VKSJ is the full name. I'll just refer to the KSJ. So this through this platform, the members of the KSJ, they add new members to their group. So we have people that are responsible for a certain local group. For example, KSJ in Ghent would log in and add new members that are registered to go to the KSJ this year. On the regional level and on provincial level, the higher level users will then export users for invoicing or maybe for newsletters, etc. There's also the activity aspects. There's a new camp being organized. We need people to register for their camp, etc. This is, for example, the member page. The challenges here is that we have different types of members. We have regular members who can log in but most likely won't. There are 6-year-olds who just need to be registered on the platform within their group. But we also have the administrative level members, and these members have permissions that go high level throughout all groups and all sites. We also have a group hierarchy, which is all groups are assembled, and we have the provincial level. Then we might have a regional level, such as Gewest Leuven is an actual region, which then consists of some smaller groups, which are all bundled and based on. If you're an admin for the provincial level, you need to have admin rights for all groups that are under this level. And then in this case, the most difficult one was the member history. So we need to have a record of everything that happens with these registrations. So that was a small introduction of the case studies, and I'll go on to the basics of organic groups. So organic groups has some different concepts. First off, we have a group and group audience. A group in developer terms is a field which will mark an entity as a group actor. This field isn't visible in the UI. It's all managed by organic groups itself. And then to have content or entities added to your group, we have the group audience concept, which is actually just a basic entity reference field with a custom plugin that handles all relationships between the group and the group content. This relationship is a organic group membership. An organic group membership is also an entity. This allows us to define different types of memberships. One example that's also given on the documentation is that you might want to have a membership in the case of newspaper registrations, that you might have people that want to register for 6 months, or people who want to register for a full year. So the two different types of memberships which can be handled through this relationship. Each field, the audience field, can then be configured to be compatible with one or more types of membership. So based on the on which field, or based on the group that is added to that field, your membership type is defined. Another concept within the groups is that we have roles and permissions. So each group can have its own set of user roles. This is beside the user roles that are defined within Drupal, and the same goes for the permissions. So this allows for a bit more granular system, and I think this is really what makes organic groups very easy to use from a developer standpoint, at least. Platform or API to develop brand site or multi-site types of setups where we don't actually want users to register, but where we want some more advanced type of content management. And then we have the organic groups context. The context is a conditional system that will trigger a group. It's similar to the core language negotiation system, where you can have a group triggered or a language triggered based on something in the URL. The context group, the organic group context system is actually the same, and you can provide your own implementation. And I'll see this later on, how we can add trigger and activate our own groups. So now we'll go on to the API itself. I'm trying to speed through this, I'm sorry. I want to get on to the case studies and more details. So the best resources to find out what is possible with organic groups is right there in the organic groups module file, and there's also the API PHP file, which explains the available hooks, etc. I'll quickly go through the most important ones, or the ones that I've used the most in the past. First off, there's something interesting I think that we should know before when working with organic groups. So I talked about the group audience field, which is an entity reference field. But because it has the organic groups plugin behavior, organic groups will intercept all data that is coming through this field. It will not be saved into the regular field table, but it's all managed in its custom organic group membership table. So if you need to know what kind of content is part of a group, if you're writing your own queries, this is something important that you should know. I remember the first time I was looking for my relationship, I was a bit baffled that the table was empty after each save. It is, however, despite that organic groups is saving the data to its own table, it is still possible to use an entity field query. So organic groups, the maintainer has foreseen this issue and has implemented the appropriate query alters to make sure that the custom membership table is included in the field query. Something else that might have been obvious by now is that anything can be a group and anything can be content. doesn't matter which entity. So it used to be that in Drupal 6 a group had to be a node, and then based on this node you could do some stuff, but it was pretty limited to users and other nodes and maybe some taxonomy terms. Now with the entity system in Drupal 7, and I have no idea what's going to happen with Drupal 8 now. But anything can be defined as a group, and anything can be defined as group content. This also makes it possible to have groups act as group content. And so how do we check, or how do we work with groups? There are some basic functions. We have the function to check if something is a group, or if a bundle, some type of bundle or entity is defined to act as a group, or we have or act as a group content. There are simple functions to throw stuff into a group, and we have the OG group and ungroup functions, which makes it really easy to write your own code and throw an entity into a group. And the other way around, we can easily get all the groups that an entity is related to with some simple API functions. Same goes for managing permissions. I mentioned earlier that Organic Groups has its own permission system, so it also provides its own hook permission, the hook OG permission, which is similar to the one provided by Core. It has an extra parameter, I believe, to define if permission is available for non-members or not, something like that. And then it also has its own user access callback, which will check if a user has a permission within a certain group. It all makes a lot of sense. It's just nice to know that it all exists. The same goes for the role system. So we have the role grant and revoke. The OG roles gives us a list of all roles available for within a group, etc. And then the user roles. Memberships then. We have the ability to check if someone is a member. We can get all the groups by a user, or if we're working just with entities, we have the get entity groups, so all groups that the entity is part of. And then to actually load the entity, the membership entity itself, we've got the get membership. If you notice you're writing some custom code, funny things are happening. You see your changes in the database, it's not populating on the front end, there's probably some caching involved. So we have the typical database caches, and then OG has a lot of static caches as well. So it could happen that in the same process, I've had this on the member management platform that I was saving changes to a user, and it would the user at the end of the flow would always be re-added to the group, and this was due to the static caches. So always nice to know. And then finally we've got the context. So the OG context will get the currently active group. I always like to write my own wrapper function around this, so I can make this more specific for the project I'm working on, maybe have some other stuff handled as well. Or if you want to activate a specific group, you can use the same function. It's all statically cached throughout the call. If you're not interested in doing too much code, OG has a good integration with the rules module, so you can do a lot of stuff there as well. I haven't used it. So, then integration and extension, and this is where we go back to the case studies and the demos. So I just highlighted some of the basics, and now I'm gonna open up the sites, click on some pages, so show some code. First I want to talk about the OG context and maybe how it was implemented with the Pro module. For those who do not know the Pro module, Perl stands for persistent URL, and it's a small API module that lets us do stuff based on whatever is present in the URL. For our projects, we always work with, or usually work with path prefixes. So if I take the Demi group site, for instance, this is the home page. We have to find some brands. So what we did is can't find the brands anymore. So we use the path prefix here to trigger the homepage of a subsite. So DEC is one of those brand sites. It has its own homepage, and this is purely based on the Perl that is present in the URL. If we go to the Demi site, we have our custom brand site module, and Perl allows us to implement our own provider. In this case, a brand site provider. This is coupled to a brand site entity that we also defined to manage these brand sites. We have our organic group context info, so it's just two simple info hooks that expose what we want to do to organic groups. When organic groups detects that is trying to negotiate or find our context, it will trigger this context handler, which then has a few simple lines of code to check if Perl is active at this moment. Perl will then analyze whatever is in the URL. It will detect that the path prefix DEC is available, so we will get a return. We'll load our brand site, return the ID of our brand site, and then organic group will know that which group is active at that moment. And that's when the fun begins. We then have our active brand site. This is what I talked about, wrapping all this stuff in my own code, and now Perl knows which brand site is active. Organic Groups knows what it needs to know, and now we can always get the active brand site. This is statically saved, and then based on this brand site we can do some fun stuff. For Demi, one of the things that was needed was the multilingual, but not each brand site has all languages. So based on this brand site we have a bunch of settings. So we have our dashboard for Demi. If you see some funny stuff happening, I prepared some development environments, but the VPN isn't working, so I had to set up to use some different setups. I wasn't able to check everything. So this is one of those brand site dashboards. This is just a simple entity, and then we have if you go to edit, this is the basic entity information that we have, or a basic entity form with some fields that we defined. This is our Perl form, for example, and then we have the brand logo and the header image, etc. So because we know which brand site is active, we can easily extract from our entity the logo, etc. If we go to a project page, for example, at the bottom of each project is I'm not sure if it's each page or the project page only. So we have a contact form, and it might not be noticeable very good, but if we look at the URL at the left bottom, we know which brand site we are. So when we go to the contact form, we can already pre-select this brand side. Of course, all brands are are available in this contact form, but because we know we have this context, we can react to this. Some other stuff that we implemented was integration with the variable API. Variable API or the variable module is usually needed when working with multilingual or the I18N internationalization modules. The variable module has a concept of realms, and a realm in the context of multilingual sites is a language. This allows the internationalization module to have multilingual variables, and a certain realm is activated. When browsing the site in Dutch, Dutch is activated, so a different set of settings will be loaded in. We implemented the same variable realm. And I'll jump to the code for this. Again, a simple info hook, which defines our realm, a brand side realm. We have a controller. This is all the basic variable API stuff. In this controller, we define. Not sure anymore where it lives. Anyway, in this controller, there are some simple methods. A method to define all available brand sites, for example. The same happens with the language. All languages are available, and then you get the menu with the English options or whatever. Implementing this realm API allows us to have different settings based on the brand site that is currently active. This doesn't require us to change or rewrite the code on the front end. We just have a simple variable get value, and because our realm is activated, and this is done when we set our brand site. So we have the module invoke of the variable realm brand side. So once this realm is activated, everything that is a variable in the front end will just be used based on the context that is active at this moment. The more interesting thing about this is that we can have multiple realms active at the same time. Variable module calls this a combined realm, and of course, because we have a multilingual site, we also implemented this. So we have a brand side language realm. So we have a handful, 30 something brand sites, and a handful of languages. Combine the two, and you know how many realms are actually active within the site at this moment. And again, by activating our brand site, so just to be sure, checking if it is multilingual, we can activate the brand site language realm. This allows us to have settings based on each brand site and based on the language that is active within that brand site. This is the form we created, so we're managing a certain brand site, so we already know which brand site is active. That's why we only have the language options at the top. But this allows us to provide settings to enable, for example, which languages are available within the brand site. Making these languages available or not is, I'm not sure if it's in this module or another. But we also have some language routing and fallbacks, etc. So if a certain language isn't available in a brand site, users are redirected or thrown a page not found according to what is defined for that content. And the switch links alter allows us to correctly display which languages are available. That's the most interesting part about the variables and in combination with the brand sites. The other stuff here is just some wrappers around things that are already available. And in this part, the people can manage manage which content is available on which brand site. So this is basically a simplified content manager with which will show us a list of all content already attached to the brand site. We have a simple bulk action to detach the content from a brand site, and the other way around we have the same thing. Content that is available throughout the entire site with a simple action to attach the content to the brand site. The menu part is a wrapper around the default menu UI with some other modules to enhance the experience. Basically, this is just a specific menu. If you go to the core menu list, you'll see the list of all menus available within the site. And the people tab is a wrapper around what organic groups already provides, allowing us to add and assign different users within a brand site and have their own specific role within a brand site. So each brand site might have a job editor, for example, someone who can only publish vacancies. We have other members, administrative members, etc. So that's it about DMA. I'll have a peek at my slide. What else? Dynamic node queues. This is also DMA. So we have what we call lists. Go to the default backend. This is just a default node queue. Node queue has the concept, besides the normal node queue, has a concept of smart queues. Smart queues allows us to create one single node queue that dynamically changes based on certain properties. One smart queue type that is already provided is the taxonomy smart queue. What a smart queue basically does is it will look at the properties of your node and based on what is attached on your node, allow you to add that node to a certain node queue. So what we wanted, we have projects in the spotlight, for example. If we go to the home of a brand site, these are some news items that are in the spotlight. So when adding a node, where is it? So spotlight projects. If we view this list, we'll see that each time we add a new brand site or a brand site is edited, a sub queue will automatically be added to this queue. In this manner, we can only have one single spotlights project, spotlights project list or node queue, and then have the system automatically generate new queues. Again, very simple API. Sure. So we have the info exposing our sub queue, and then we implement some hooks to define the behavior of our sub queue. So here we're going to build a list of references or sub queues that are allowed for our node. What we're actually doing is loading all groups that this entity belongs to, and then compiling a list of all these groups. If the subqueue does not exist, will automatically generate it here. This also happens when a brand site is saved or deleted, these queues are updated. So now when I'm on content, project. So I'm currently logged in as the user 1. So this will allow me to attach the brand site or the content to all brand sites available. So we have a simple select widget here. If we look at lists now, this project will only, or this node will only be allowed to be added to the Baggerwerken, the GRUD project or list. There's also a default list. Default is the corporate website, because the corporate lives besides the actual brand sites. So we provided the option to allow nodes to be added both to the corporate site or a brand site. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna talk about some challenges we had here for KSA. So the KSA project or member platform. The first challenge that we had was the group hierarchy with the provincial level, the regional level, and then finally the group itself. We have this is all test data, of course. You can see this. I'm not allowed to use real data. The actual platform has all the Flemish regions, I believe, and about 150,000 actual users. So it's a lot more interesting to see how the features live in that site. There we go. This caching issue. I had to switch the database before the demo because the development environment that I set up to do the tests wasn't available through the VPN. I had to do a quick fix here. There we go. So now I'm looking at a provincial region. Again, we've used the pro modifier in this case. This is the code that they internally use for each group. This has the added benefit of a nice user experience because they know all codes by heart, so they can just browse directly to a certain group. And within each group you have a certain set of features. And the age groups, for examples, or the member overview. This group isn't doing too well, it's lost its only member. Dossiers, or dossiers is a tool for I'm not sure actually. It's when incidents happen, they can log some stuff in there, and they have specific, and that's one of the challenges we had. They have specific users that are only allowed to access all the dossiers within a group. So to make a difference between all the different types of users, I have to go. We created two separate types of memberships. So we have the default membership, that's the user who is just a member of a group. And then we have an admin membership type. Admin members won't show up in the list of users, for example. I might be a global admin. I am, in terms of organic groups, a member of all groups within the website. But in terms of KSJ member, I'm actually not a member of that group. So that's why we needed to make a difference between these two types of users. So all admin members are actually a member of the group, but won't show up in all the pages and tools that are provided in this platform. And based on this, we also have different roles within the site. So this is role overview. So for each group type, we have the national group as well. Local, provincial, regional. If I go to a local, we can see that we have the administrative members and the dossier member. On another level, on a site-wide level, we also have different types of users. So we have the global admin on that level and a digit user. A digit user is someone who has access, so a regular member. I'm just a regular Joe member of KSJ Brabant. The only thing that I get to see is my group information. What is the address of our weekly meetup? When do we meet up? And who are my contact people? Who is we have some different functions within the. So who's my contact person? Who's the group leader? Etc. I'm not allowed to see personal information. We also have digit users. A digit user is somebody who is responsible for one specific group within this site. And to manage all this, we had to create some of our own levels and tables to store all this data, because the organic groups API was running on its limits. So basically we have the feature group. Just for show, we did the same thing here as we did with Demi with the brand sites and the Pearl provider. So with access same way. What we did have to do for KSR is, because we need a history of all our members, an organic group doesn't do revisions. We had to store a lot of information in custom tables, and on each save had to have some kind of relationship between our user revision, etc. So there is a control module which allows us to do user revisions, and based on that and the information we have on organic groups, we keep our own records in our own history records. One of the things we need to do for that is, which is it? Remember. So we have our statuses. This is just one of the schemas that we use to store all the status. So it would have been possible, because a membership is actually an entity. So it would have been possible to have a status field on our membership entity, and when we add a user, we could just store the status there. But because we need the history information, we had to build in some custom stuff for that. I'm thinking what else is interesting. This is a bit of our own front end for managing members as well. So whenever a user is assigned a digit user, he will also be assigned a specific role within this organic group, so he can manage whatever features he has available within his group. I think that's the most interesting stuff that there is to say. There's probably more, but well, you never know. I'll go on to my last case, and then my time will be up. So Buddha, the challenges here, as I said before, is that we have three types of users or groups. We have the publishers, the sales representatives, and the bookstore owners. The challenge was specifically for the sales representatives and the e-commerce integration. So we defined each type of user as a group. So a publisher can have multiple users, and within each group, for a publisher group, for example, they can manage lists with to promote some type of book. But it also had to be possible for a sales manager or a sales representative to manage lists for publishers. But a sales representative, which is its own group, also needed to be able to make sales in the name of a bookstore owner, which is also a group. Commerce in itself doesn't know about groups. It only knows about users and users making purchases. So again, we had to store some information, allowing us to make invoices, etc., for which sales representative made which orders for which bookstore, etc., and not specifically on user level, but on group level. And I think that I'm not sure I can have any code to show there specifically. I think the most interesting stuff was shown when talking about Deme, code-wise at least. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that and see if there's any feedback from you guys, maybe some questions. Yeah.
In the Buddha site, so you used a user as a group, but also a content type to make a store. So you have
No.
groups to categorize content.
No. The actual groups are a publisher, a sales representative, and a bookstore owner.
And these are the roles.
These are the groups, and then we have users that are member of each of these groups. Same goes for products. So we have each book is a commerce product. So when a publisher has a certain book, the commerce product needs to be attached to that publisher group as well. But then when a sales rep makes an order for a certain bookstore, what Commerce does is each sale is a line item. So we had to add line items as a relationship to a group, which was perfectly possible because organic groups is just based off of entities. So when a bookstore owner logs in to see what sales he has or what purchases he has made, all these line items are added to organic to the organic group of his bookstore, and all reports, etc., are all based off of these line items. Other questions, maybe? Yes.
How do you cope with the basic usability issue at organic groups? That a user has to know that he first need to sign up at a group in order to put content in the group.
This is all behind the curtain, or so I don't know what the correct term is here. For example, in KSA, we made our own simple buttons that explain whatever it is they're doing, but these are features that are only accessible by the high level people within the organization. Once you're within the context of a group, all content is automatically linked to that group because we know which group is active. And this is either done if it's something that we custom build, it's just there in our code, or if it's a basic entity like the dossiers is when I select add new dossier, I'm actually making a new node, and there is the for entity reference We have the auto-populate module, which is contrib, and again, combined with the organic group's context, the auto-populate module knows which group is active and will store the entity reference to that group.
So also at the ship company, you have admins assigning people to groups and not people inviting themselves to be in a group.
Yes, but they're not really aware of in the case of Deme, we created our brand site administration page. So when they create a new brand site, they're actually creating a new group.
But they don't know it.
But they don't know it.
It might be a real good solution to this problem.
And now I'm in the context of managing such a brand site, and I have my brand site dashboard, which shows me some content. And I have the general settings for my baggerwerk in the Groot. I can edit some properties. I can decide if this brand site is published or not. I can assign content within this brand site. I can manage my menu, and ultimately I can assign new people to this brand site. And this assigning new people to a brand site is just the group registration.
But just calling it differently and having, okay, cool.
Now, if I'm a content manager at Deme, I get a whole set of I get this dashboard. I can see whatever needs review and etc. So there's also a lot of workflow integration in this. There was another question at the back. Okay, so to simplify the question, you want to target a specific role within a group.
I want to use roles to notify users about some changes. For example, some members subscribe to the group, and I want to notify administrator about it, but I cannot notify them. I can only notify manager.
I have to think for a second. So what I would do, probably through code, if you know what can't seem to find it. So there is a function that allows us to load a certain role ID. That's the first thing that you need to know within a group, and then based off of that, you could I'd probably write my own query and see. I try and get the list based on a couple of joins for the right tables. I'm not sure how to do it with rules. I haven't used it in combination with the organic groups.
How I solve this issue. For example, we have several groups, yes, and each group actually has its own custom roles. For example, each group has administrators, and each group has some other roles. So I went through the whole groups, take all roles and put them into the rules, but I don't
Yeah. Sorry.
I was just wondering how you manage group hierarchy actually.
Okay, yeah, it's a good question. It's all custom actually. So except for the relationships, because each entity can act as both as group as content. So we on the like on each group we have a group reference or group content field that refers to whatever parent it should be. So it's based off of parents. If I this is the highest level now.
Okay.
So if I go, doesn't really matter. If I edit the regional Antwerp, for example, I can assign a specific provincial region, and then based off of that, there's a lot of for each looping on the homepage to group everything nicely together. The only spot where the hierarchy is actually visible is on this page. Other than that, it's just pure referencing.
So there's no inheritance of the
There is inheritance, yes. So if I'm assigned an administrator for a province, I will also be administrator, and that will be then the admin membership type for all groups that are.
You did that through custom code.
This is all custom code, yeah. It can easily be done just by loading with the existing API functions all content that is part of a specific group, and then you can just use the grouping functions. Okay.